This week, Bangra bangers, smoggy sunsets, and angry angle grinders. Clicks going to India as India goes to the moon. Get ready, your Indian experience starts now. As soon as you step off the plane, India hits you like a big hot wall of noise. It is everything you ever imagined it to be. It is life turned up to 11. The first thing you'll notice will be the traffic. It's always the traffic.
It's the tip just to kind of step out and, okay, well this looks like a gap. Sound is deafening. Everyone's honking.
For 70 years, this country has been independent of British rule, and the cities that have sprung up around the old colonial grandeur seem chaotic, but they do kind of work. Kind of. And India has found a niche in the wider world. Half of its 1.2 billion people are aged 35 or under. Now maybe that's why it's known for its IT know-how, its outsourcing. And the bosses of some of the biggest tech companies in the world are Indian. But it hasn't had as much luck in taking over the world of consumer technology. After all, how many Indian tech brands can you name? The truth is that although there is a middle class of consumers here willing to buy brands, it's not actually that big or that rich. Not that many people here can really afford the latest of very much at all. We're here to find out how India is preparing for its future. And let me tell you, it is reaching for the stars. In 2013, India became the fourth spacefaring nation to launch a probe into orbit around Mars. And unlike those that came before them, they did it on their first attempt. The Indian Space Research Organisation, ISRO, has been gaining a reputation for doing tons of successful space stuff on a shoestring budget. Their Mars mission came in at just $74 million. That's less than it cost to make the film Gravity. And in February this year, they made history again by launching a record 104 satellites on a single rocket. It could just be that India has created the perfect combination of big brains with big space experience, but a mentality for doing things on the cheap. Just the sort of place you might go if you wanted to, say, land a robot on the moon for the space equivalent of small change. How confident are you that this will work? Welcome to the Earthbound HQ of Team Indus, one of a handful of startups competing for the Google Lunar X Prize. That's $20 million for the first commercial company to land a rover on the moon. December 2017, blast off. The Team Indus spacecraft goes into 2 days of Earth orbit and then boom, 4.5 days to the moon. 12 days spiralling down to the surface, and then if all goes well, out comes the rover, travels half a kilometre, sends back HD video and wins the prize. What could possibly go wrong? Rahul Narayan is the co-founder of Team Indus, and he's been here since the very start of this project, way back in 2010. And at that point, you had no idea how you were going to achieve it?
Yes, I Googled and figured out how what did Wikipedia have to say about landing on the moon. So yes.
You did an internet search
yes.
on how to land on the moon?
Absolutely.
And did it have any useful information?
Yes, it said there have been 85 attempts, and I think every second attempt failed to the moon.
6 years later, there are around 100 people working very hard here, and it certainly looks like they know their space stuff. Star Wars in particular. Even the toilets are appropriately labelled. And they've built themselves all the things that a serious space company should have, like a mission control room, a model lander that makes smoke, and a simulated lunar surface complete with a rover to go in it. So what do you use to simulate moon dust?
You could go to an expensive lab and try and buy lunar simulant. We just went to a stone quarry and asked them to give us the milling output. That's what this is. This is about 150 microns. It has electrostatic properties, which we're not able to replicate. It's supposed to be very, very electrostatic.
So that means it's going to stick to the rover?
That is correct. That is one part of the analysis.
Get into all the joints.
It's going to get into every perforation, the lens of the camera. It's going to get in everywhere.
And just like national space agencies, testing every component and simulating every stage of the mission is a huge part of what they're doing here.
We're making sure we do everything right. We're just not making it fancy. We're going to make it frugal, we're going to make it specific to the mission, but there's absolutely no corners that we're cutting. And to look at it from a more philosophical way, we have one shot to win this. We don't have a flight spare, so if one blows up, we can go and fly the other. We're going to get this right.
Team Indus is one of 5 startups from around the world who've secured launch contracts for their rovers. And while they can't say for sure, they think they'll launch before any other team, and so perhaps be the first team to land and win. Well, that's except for the fact that to save costs, they've had to sell some of their spare launch weight to a competitor rover. Japan's Team Hakto will be on board too. You're both going to get to the moon at the same time.
Yes.
How I mean, how's that going to work? It's whoever touches down first and then whoever's got the fastest rover.
Yeah,
I mean, this is going to be crazy.
In a manner of speaking, yes.
And so what do you expect to happen?
So it's a race. It's going to be a very interesting race. And once we touch down, both the rovers are deployed. Let's just see which rover makes 500 meters first.
I would so put a laser gun on yours. I would so. All of that assumes, of course, that the rovers make it to the moon in the first place. Space exploration is a risky business, and when it goes wrong, it tends to go really wrong. 6 years, hundreds of thousands of hours of effort, and millions spent. There's certainly a lot riding on getting things right.
You mitigate the big pieces, and then you start mitigating the smaller risks, and then end of the day, absolutely, one small wrong piece of code that somehow made its way through could kill the entire mission.
There is a word here in India that I think describes Team Indus's low-cost, make-do approach: jugaad.
All right, go, quick, go.
I've come to the centre of Mumbai, to Dharavi, Asia's second largest slum. Here, in its tiny alleyways, jugaad is all around, as a desperately poor population reuses as much as is physically possible. Built by workers who flocked to the city over hundreds of years, some of the houses here date back to the 1840s. It is an intense experience in the middle of an intense city.
Well, you really do get a sense of the scale of the place from up here. And it's a weird scale as well, because it's actually quite small. It's only 2 square kilometres, but around 1 million people live here. It's phenomenally densely packed. And it's not just people living here and doing nothing either. This place has a working infrastructure and a working economy. This place really does work.
10,000 Dharavi businesses generate 30 billion rupees for Mumbai every year. They make things and they recycle things. Like all those plastic bottles drying on the roof, which are shredded into reusable plastic pellets. The whole production line is itself a work of jugaad.
This is where they make the machines that recycle the plastic. So I guess this is a factory. Brace yourself.
Once finished, these machines will chew up the plastic, which is then washed, sorted and dried. The work is heavy and hard, and for a wage that affords the meagrest of existences. It's incredible to think that 55% of Mumbai's population lives in slums like this one.
Up ahead there's a pile of shredded denim which they use for fuel. They burn it to fuel the kilns, just like they burn a lot of stuff for fuel here. And there is smoke everywhere here. You can really tell the air quality is very poor. You just have to take a few lungfuls. It starts to burn the back of your throat, make your eyes sting.
The smoke is a necessary evil for the people of Dharavi, and like most of the developing world, pollution has been the price India is paying for a booming economy. The smog that gives Mumbai its spectacular sunsets has also made it the 5th most polluted megacity in the world. And when the sun disappears before it hits the horizon, you can well believe it. In November 2016, the Indian government declared the air pollution in Delhi a national emergency, with harmful pollutants more than 16 times the safe limit. And it's not just caused by all that traffic.
So where does it come from? Well, I was surprised to find out a lot of it comes from diesel generators. See, the electricity in India is not very reliable, but there are plenty of businesses that need guaranteed power. So they have their own individual generators that fire up whenever the electricity goes down. And that means that there are loads of exhaust pipes like this all over the city, which regularly belch out all kinds of unpleasant stuff.
When you start looking for them, they're everywhere. Even the mobile masts have backup generators.
Hello.
Well, here in Bangalore, we've come across a small project to capture the soot and turn it into art.
So what we have built is we have built a retrofit device that attaches to the exhaust pipe or the chimneys. This device can be attached to practically any exhaust pipe, irrespective of what is the age or what sort of a type of engine you are running, and it captures practically whatever particulate matter gets out of it. Once you capture particulate matter, this is substantially carbon, which is like the basis of everything that exists in the world. At present, we are recycling it into inks, which we believe is something that is used by practically everyone on the planet.
The headquarters of Gravity Labs is a mix of art studio and mad laboratory. The perfect combination, if you ask me. Their so-called Air ink does have a few restrictions. It will only ever come in black, and at the moment it's not good enough quality to be used in printers. Gravity is giving it to artists who are finding their own uses for it. Painting and screen printing, for example, for use on clothes and bags. If the idea catches on, users would expect to remove the exhaust pipe device, called a Kali ink, literally black ink, as often as every 15 days, depending on how old and dirty their diesel engines were.
So that's about 3 or 4 minutes of revving.
Once we reach the scale of, for example, a city-wide installation, we plan to install what we call as carbon banks on multiple locations for it to be dropped either by the people or by our own staff.
Even in the shorter term, the thought is to place these carbon banks in business headquarters and lorry depots, where large numbers of vehicles are centralised anyway. And while the ink may only have limited uses at present, Nikhil insists that it's still better to put the carbon to good use than just to collect it and dump it.
There are a lot of technologies that have captured pollution in one way or the other. Being catalytic converters or DPFs are all supposed to do that. But if you don't recycle it, you are actually leaving it for the future generations.
Love is in the air in India. It's reckoned there are 10 million weddings here every year. And as in many aspects of Indian life, religion often directs the dating game. The country's online matchmakers have traditionally put faith at the forefront as well. But now there's a new crop of dating tech, and it's, well, agnostic. Tinder has reported rapid growth here. It matches people based on proximity and doesn't ask about belief. It's not the only dating service where faith is slipping down the priority list either. A single mingle in one of Delhi's most romantic spots. These love seekers have been handpicked based on a range of factors. They're open-minded about religion, but it's still clearly a biggie.
I do not see religion as a barrier when I talk about any kind of connection, be it friendship, be it professional connection, be it even marriage for that matter. But I'm sure that's not what everybody in India would agree to.
Even though we don't really necessarily mind liking somebody from another religion, but we don't want to hassle ourselves and hassle our parents, because it's going to be a big thing.
Some dating entrepreneurs believe that tech inevitably challenges religion.
We know so much about people that we're actually able to serve you profiles of people that we believe will be compatible with you. And that does not include necessarily religion or caste, but it actually includes a much more foundational human level. And I think that's the beauty of technology.
Some areas of India have reported big rises in interfaith marriages. So how are the country's religious communities responding? Catholics make up a tiny minority here, and church leaders are worried, particularly about young women who convert to their husband's religion and abandon Catholicism. But the church has developed a secret weapon: their own dating website. The unique selling point? Well, honesty. There'll be no massaging your dating profile here, because you'll have to go to church to register and get your picture taken.
The verification in terms of the education qualifications is got, so we put that all together, and then once that's in place, the website would probably go live, and you would have opportunities for young people to find an alliance online.
But what about the majority religious group? One of Hinduism's most high-profile branches says they've got no problem with interfaith dating. It's the technology they're concerned about. They've got some blunt advice for love-hungry teens, and it might not prove popular.
Try to avoid mobiles. Try to avoid mobiles. Everyone has to remember, how he wants to lead his life. Are you going to talk romantically to half a dozen, people, and then trying to fish out, which one is better? That is not good. Whatever time available for you, for your, conversation, entertainment, understanding, education, you have to make the list of priorities.
Whatever the religion, it's clear that technology is causing some seismic changes. And in a country obsessed with matchmaking and tech, even the young are struggling to keep up. A series of plays staged in Mumbai tackled the thorny subject of modern dating. One of the writers reckons religious influence is here to stay, and for some pretty basic reasons.
Most of these guys in the city would live with their parents. If I want to get somebody home to live with my mother and father, her tastes, her ideas should match to that of my mother and father. They might not be the same. They'll have their differences, but they'll have to somewhere align. So if she cooks meat every day, my parents wouldn't like it at all, because they don't eat meat, and they would just keep fighting over who's going to be in the kitchen the whole time, and that becomes a headache for me.
Religion, technology, and romance. Three forces that aren't going away anytime soon. Question is, can they all just learn to get along? Living in the developing world means living with the possibility of developing particular health problems. But there are many diseases that can affect everyone, rich and poor.
So this is your hospital?
Yeah, and I am the head of this breast cancer awareness with iris scanning, and this is our outpatient department.
Wow.
ECG, cardiography room. This is our X-ray department.
Breast cancer is now the most fatal cancer amongst women worldwide, and it's the same here. But the problem in India is that it's often not spotted early enough, with more than 60% of the women diagnosed here at stages 3 or 4. I've come to the Karma and Olbliss Women's and Children's Hospital in Mumbai to find out why, and also to see something new, a low-cost device that could aid early breast cancer detection.
Most of the women, they don't go for a mammography thinking that it is very painful. In a developed countries, if the women they are coming in early stages, that's why they are getting treated, and their 5-year survival rate is 80%. But if you see for the developing countries, most of the Asian countries, if you look even in the China also, they are coming in advanced stages. In advanced stages, there is a very limitation of role to treat them, either surgically, radiotherapy or chemotherapy. And in that case, the 5-year survival rate will be less one.
Mammogram devices are, of course, also expensive, and taking one, plus a skilled operator, to remote areas is impractical. Dr. Katki's hospital is one of those using iBreast exam, which works in a very different way. Instead of using X-rays, like mammograms do, it has 16 sensors which vibrate and collect pressure data as it's moved around the breast. Any tumours, which are stiffer than normal tissue, will register on the accompanying app, and any areas of concern can then be referred for further examination. It's this portability that grabbed the attention of the Minister for Medical Education, who's helped to fund the iBreast exam programme.
On the government level, we have installed these machines in all the medical colleges for women to come and get checked for breast cancer from various parts of the state. We also plan to send this machine to other places like civil hospitals and medical colleges. With this machine, we have been carrying out screenings in villages, townships and cities, and plan to cover the whole of the state of Maharashtra. The ones who are affected are to be brought to Mumbai and Pune, thus saving many lives.
So this is the device, and what surprised me is how gentle it feels. So these are tiny vibrations that it's giving out.
That gentle vibration is all that's needed to detect lesions as small as 3 millimetres, and that's far better than the 3 centimetre lesions present in late-stage breast cancer. And achieving that level of accuracy has been the real innovation here.
It's a tiny sensor that, when given a little bit of power, can create these micropalpations on the breast. And inherently, that's why it's different than mammograms, which uses X-rays.
But is this better than mammography?
I think we have long ways to prove that it is better than mammography. We are not there yet. It is already creating access where mammography is not able to reach. So in that sense, there is no competition between the two modalities. iBreast exam helps provide pre-screening and identifies women that are at risk. And then mammography could really provide a diagnostic affirmative answer whether that woman needs to be moved upwards or not. And our goal is to really help provide this as a standard of care solution to all the developing countries that are struggling in the same way.
And that's it for Click in India, for the moment at least. We've had an absolutely fascinating time here, and you can see plenty more photos that we've taken around and about the place on Twitter at BBC Click. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.